special guest. I'm so
Hello.
excited. Just one of the most special people in my life. Her name is Vero. Um, I want to talk a little bit about her before I introduce her fully. So, I want to describe her as law by day, podcaster by night, because she can really do anything. But I think that's her biggest focus right now, which is amazing. And we'll really get into that. Welcome, Vero. How are you, honey?
Welcome to me. I'm so excited to be here and I can't wait to listen to myself because I listen to the forecast every single week. So it's fun to be on the other side of it. I'm very excited. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for saying yes. I'm really excited for this interview. Just the tools that you got. By the way, you're gonna get two tools
I know. I'm dreading it.
because obviously no one knows what their tools are before the interview. But
Yeah.
before I tell you your tools, I kind of want to tell everyone how we met
Okay.
because it's fun and it's a story. It's been
It
3 years,
is.
right? 3 years.
Yeah, it has. Over a little over 3.
Like 3 and 3 months. Three.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So we met through a reading. You got a reading with me.
Yes. Yes.
And right away it was just this connection of we need to work together. Like we
Yeah.
need to keep doing this, a whole
Hmm.
healing process. But we were just really good at separating from me being a channeler and a guide to friendship. And
Hmm.
personally, I can consider you one of my best friends, obviously.
Agreed. Agreed. Big time agreed. For sure. Even though
Uh,
I feel sometimes bad when it's me talking about my shit most of the time. And then I'm like, oh yeah, wait, sorry. Tell me about your life again. How have you been?
Tell me wait, what's going on with you? No, but yeah, but it's fun. And I think it's very mutual at the end of the day. It's very,
Yeah.
um, it's just a lot of love and a
Yes.
lot of good friendship. And I love your family. Your whole
Yeah.
family is just beautiful and amazing. And I just wanted to say that before we start the interview because I want everyone
Yeah.
to know that there's like a deeper connection here than just the tools.
Definitely. I mean, that first session was one of the craziest sessions ever. And I had been told about you by someone that I knew. And I was like, oh, that's so up my alley. Like, I need a session. And so, but I was so excited before it. And I remember having like the craziest, like, I felt really, really dizzy. And it was like a lot going on. And like, I wasn't in the best place at the time. And we had our session. And then I don't remember the session was crazy. But then I remember after, like, do you even know what to do? And you were like, listen, honey, yeah, I think we need to work together. And I was like, okay, perfect. And I called my mom and I was like, Mom, it's not even a choice. Like, it's just, I'm doing it. So I hope you can hop on board with me because it's happening and I haven't looked back since.
I
And then
know.
we became friends. And then it was like, then you came to visit me in Miami and we had a lot of fun together. And yeah, we are able to kind of take the hat on and off, which is good. Good to have those boundaries that sometimes I forget about, but they're there.
I think you're really good at it, honestly. Like you're really good at like even calling yourself out. Like, wait,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
being my friend right now. We're not in session, and
yeah,
like
yeah,
you're
yeah,
really
yeah.
good at it. And also, by the way, this was back in the day when I wouldn't send the recording. So your first session wasn't recorded, just the questions, right? The channeled questions.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
remember you saying like, I'm dizzy, I'm feeling, but it was
yeah.
also like this deeper connection of even finding out
Mhm,
our past lives together, which was really fun. Um,
mhm, mhm.
so it kind of built everything up. So yeah, I
Yeah.
remember it was fun. I was like, honey, come on.
It's like
All we need to do is,
you
yeah.
need some help.
But now you're
Yeah,
a pro. Sometimes I hear
yeah.
you talking and I'm like, she's saying what I would say. There you
I
go.
know. I'm a pro. I have been able to put you in my head, which is great. Like when I'm having a moment or like you're not answering my texts, I'm like, it's okay because I have her right up here that I can get to her when I need to.
Yeah, you have the method, which is amazing. Which we're gonna talk about your tools now. Are you
Yeah.
ready?
No, but go for it.
Honestly, they're really beautiful tools. Like very
Okay.
beautiful.
Mm.
One is resilience,
Ooh.
and the other one is acceptance.
Oh, I thought I was gonna get compassion because I have a tough time with compassion, and I thought you were gonna get me in trouble on the podcast, and I was nervous. That's the only reason I was dreading these tools is because if compassion came up, we would have had a problem. We would have had a big
Like
problem.
that would have been the session. That would have been me like, okay,
Yeah, it
how
would
are
have
you
been a session.
using
It would have been a
compassion?
session. I have not. I still forget that that tool exists, so that would have been bad. But no, I can do these two.
Yeah. Oh my God, honey, I think you've been using compassion so much. Like, no, I
Well,
don't
because
think
you have to remind me.
so. True. Very true. But
Yeah, you remind
still.
me.
So, when it comes to resilience, I want to say why though.
Okay.
Resilient, you remind me of resilience because when you are confronted by something,
Hmm.
even if it feels uncomfortable, you're very self-aware and very honest with yourself that you're like, I'll take the punch. I'll do
Yeah.
it. Fine. I'll take the punch. It is what it is. Yeah, you might feel uncomfortable and of course we all have feelings and emotions, but you take it and
Yeah.
you don't even ask if there's a solution. You're like there is one.
Hmm.
There's like
Hmm.
no other option. And
Hmm.
then acceptance, you accept it. You're really good at accepting it. You're really good at accepting the truth. You're really good. I think that as a channeler, not a friend, but as a
Hmm.
channeler, always seeing you take the truth so gracefully. As in,
Hmm.
well, it is what it is. What can we do with it? How can I nurture it? Like you're actionable. So there's a
Hmm.
lot of acceptance. And then also on the other side, as a friend, just seeing you how you have this energy of when you love very deeply, you're resilient, you're passionate, you accept things as they are and you accept people for who they are. Yeah, maybe you
Yeah.
want to tell them, hey, I see this because it's very clear to you, but you
Yeah.
accept
I'm a tough friend sometimes.
it. I think
I'm
you're
a
very
tough. I'm
honest.
very protective. I'm very protective,
Yeah,
and that's why I only have. I don't have. Not that I have. Don't. I don't have that many friends, but I'm very picky because if I'm like, I know I can't sit across from that person and tell them how it is, then we're gonna have a problem, and I can't be around them, kind of thing. Because I love very intensely.
yes, and it's because you can take it very intensely. Like you
Yeah,
can take
that's
it
true.
as it is. Even in our sessions, you're like, just tell me. Like, don't
Yeah. Well, it
sugarcoat
does.
it. Don't go slow.
In
Just do it.
in fairness, it does also depend who it comes from. Because some people, I'm like, I'm not hearing that from you. But you, I always trust it. So I'm like, okay. Or like certain friends can say stuff to me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take that one on the chin. And then there's other people that I'm like, no, in one ear, out the other. But yeah, you do also have to pick and choose because we can all critique each other all day long.
Yeah,
But you know what the truth is, and you know what it isn't. So I think I'm decent
definitely.
at that.
No, definitely. And I think it has to do with the whole foundation and tools thing. Do they use it?
Yeah.
So if they're preaching something, then I'll take
Mm,
it. It's
yeah.
like, oh, okay, they're noticing something that I want to learn from. And that's just the other point I want to get to. You're a really good student in a way of
Mm,
life. Like
mm.
anything. Like the other day, you were like, Alexia, I don't know anything about charts. And
Yeah.
although I don't want to use it, I need to know. I need to
Yeah.
sit
Yeah.
down and be able to have a conversation. So
Mhm,
learning is such a big deal. And I kind of want to
mhm.
know how you use this resilience and acceptance and just experiencing life and being a student in life. I think you're just this great example of it.
Thank you. I it doesn't it I mean it's definitely a choice. I don't know
Mm,
if I've ever to me the opposite sounds torturous. So fighting against life and fighting against the universe and fighting against the truth sounds exhausting.
mhm.
Like that's never been up my alley. But I mean I use it in different ways. I think I am good at accepting things. Like if things aren't going my way, I'm like, all right, there's something else out for me. Because if something better is waiting for me. Because if I were to fight reality, there's nothing you can do to change it. Sometimes, obviously, it depends what we're talking about. But there are just some instances, and I'm like, what's the point in fighting in that? You know, like when I tell people, because when I talk about Alexia, my sessions with her, because I'm like constantly out in the streets praising her and the work that she does for people.
Thank you.
Um, I was telling someone the other day, you have to be able to put your ego aside and put your boxing gloves down
Mm.
and take it on the chin. And like, for example, like there's been so many difficult sessions that I have not liked what you said to me. I have not liked it. And I have a little tantrum. And then like there will be sessions where Alexia will tell me something. She's like, do you want to hear the truth? And I'm like, yeah, go, fine, tell me what it is. And then she tells me, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And I'm like, I don't really want to talk right now. And then I'll get off the phone and I'll have the conversation with myself. And the next day I'll be like, okay, I I let it sit, I let it marinate, I get it, I'm with you. But because I also don't pressure myself to just accept in the moment. And like, you know,
Yeah.
you do need time to process and you do need to think about things. But like, what do I get from when you've called me like you're like, oh, you're being a little bit of a victim right now. I'm like, how? No, I'm not. And then I like fight it. And then when I sit with myself and I'm like, all right, Alexia said it, so we know it's true. Let's think about it. Like, let's process it. Because if I don't listen to it and if I don't think about it and if I don't process it, then I allow myself to, like, I accept being a victim, for example, or I accept that I'm that way. And then I make it a pattern. And I don't want it to be a pattern. I don't want to be a victim in life or whatever it is, or compassion that comes up every now and again. Like, compassion is so difficult for me because I want to be compassionate and I am obviously to a certain extent, but I struggle with it at times. And when you say, well, what about compassion? I'm like, fuck, fine. Yeah, you're right. I know I need to. Okay, I'm going to work on it because that's what I strive for. Now, if you don't want to be compassionate or you do want to be a victim, different story. But I'm
Definitely.
here to work on myself. So, yeah.
And when you use these tools, how do you think that you give yourself that safe space to not criticize? Because one thing is to have a tantrum, another thing is to go into like self-criticism, which
Yeah.
I think you're really good at not going into. Right?
Well, I think because I accept that I'm a work in progress. So, although I have perfectionist tendencies in some aspects of life, um, I do recognize that, like, yeah, I'm not perfect. Like, yeah, I have things I need to work on, and that's why I do the work that I do with you, because I wouldn't be doing any of this if I thought that I was living perfectly and doing everything right all the time. So, I made that decision to work on myself, which means, you know, you have to listen to things that you don't want to listen to, or truth that you don't want to deal with, or truth you don't want to confront. And without it, I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah.
So, by definition, I had to accept that there were things I needed to work on and things I need to improve. So,
And
yeah.
even love that side because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I get to discover a new
Yeah.
me. I think that's where
Yeah.
like the self-love sometimes lacks. Like, oh, I do have to
Mm,
work on something, so how do I love this? How do I love
yeah.
this side of me? And I think that's the most important part of even going through the process,
Yeah.
being in love with every version of yourself. You did say something. You were like, when you heard about my work, you said this is up
Mm,
my alley. I want you
yeah.
to tell us, like, what does that mean? What is? How do you connect to your spiritual side? How do you connect to? I know. That's why I'm
I
asking.
love this. So, okay, so when I first heard about you, I mainly heard about how you channel, and I thought it was just like the coolest thing ever. And then I heard about past lives. And I love that shit forever and ever. And it's like it fascinates me. Like those topics just fascinate me. So I first was around a tarot card reader when I was in 8th grade. So like quite
Oh,
young. And
yeah.
like doing other spiritual stuff and just like connecting. I've always wanted to connect to things, connect to something beyond like humans, you know? Not that I
Mhm.
don't love humans, but like something outside of us. So I've always, always, always been into it from like literally as far as I can remember. And so I heard that you did that. And I was like, ooh, past lives. Tell me
Yeah.
what I used to be. Who was I? And then I realized it was much more than that. Which, speaking of, we haven't done a past life channeling in a while. So I know what we're doing in our next session.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, so that's what initially got me in. And then what kept me is that first that first session, damn, it was it was dark, but in the best of ways. But I remember listening listening to your channel, like you channeling, and I remember there was like some situation going on in my life at the time that the guides were like, get over it. And I was like, okay, done. I'm over it. Like for some reason, everything that you said and the guides told me just sit. Like I just didn't, not that I didn't question it, but I accepted it very quickly.
Yeah.
So that that kind of got me there. And then yeah, that kept me there, like coming to more sessions, just knowing that whatever situation I'm in, as difficult as it is, or as hard a time I am in having a hard time dealing with it, I know if I talk to you about it and we channel about it or don't channel about it, whatever it is, it just it hits different. Like there's just a certain peace that
Yeah.
truth brings. And for some reason, I just trust everything you say.
Well,
Just
thank
trust it
you.
all.
I promise I say all the truth and I try to keep things very how can I say it? Just connected to whatever the HVB say, whatever the guides are saying. I'm like, okay, I'm translating this. Because there's
Yeah.
times where they tell me things and I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
need
What
to
do I
trust
do?
too. So it's like a lot of self-trust to even be able to say everything I say. But I do want
Mm.
to ask you, how do you think you use these tools spiritually when it comes to law and then podcasting? But let's start with law. I think that's a fun one because I you're just so passionate that I think that this acceptance and even resilience you bring into everything you do. So we want to get to know a little bit more about you.
Yeah. Well, my journey towards law is just resilience. Just like that's just that really because I am delusional and I love that for myself because it makes life a lot easier, let me tell you. And so people I've always loved law because I'm the type of person who I don't know, I've always liked more mediation if anything. I like that there are two sides and that you try to kind of get in the middle or even being able to like play devil's advocate. I love playing devil's advocate. Like I just find that so fun. And
Yeah.
I've been into family law for a long time. And and yeah, I've had a journey of like not wanting to live in the States anymore and like living abroad and then getting my law degree in the UK. A lot of people told me I wouldn't do it or told me it was too difficult or asked me if it was worth it or not worth it. And I was like, I'm doing it. So I don't really care what you say, it's happening. And I'm glad that I did do that. And then when it comes to the day to day in law, it's just, I don't know if it's resilience on my end, like if I need to be resilient in the day to day life working in law, or just the fact I have experience working in family law, so you're
Okay.
dealing with people at their worst
Yeah.
and you have to remember that, which is kind of, you just have to keep fighting through it. Like you'll have clients tell you the same thing over and over and over again, and they have a therapist, and I wonder where that money is going because they don't seem to be using them. But you just have to like be resilient and like remember what you're there for and what your job is and what how you're there to help that person, whether you agree with them, disagree with them, like them, don't like them, love them, hate them, it doesn't matter. You have to kind of get through the difficulty that comes with dealing with people who are going through a rough time.
So
And
very
acceptance is just, yeah, and acceptance is just you gotta you have no choice.
yeah, and be very emotionally detached. because that sounds like a
Yeah.
lot of emotion, like a lot of blaming, even like, oh,
Hmm.
blaming here,
Hmm.
blaming there, and you're trying to be very neutral. So it is
Yeah.
a lot of resilience. That's crazy. That
Hmm.
sounds
It's not a lot. Can be
yeah, it sounds
heavy.
like a lot. Yeah.
Can be heavy for sure.
But I love that the passion makes it not heavy though. It makes it like a process.
Hmm.
Like you're almost that mirror of the resilience that they need.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you're going through a hard time, you need a rock. And
Yeah.
as working in family law, you might as well also be a therapist because of who you're dealing with and what circumstances they're in. And you just got to keep it going. You got to keep it moving. If we got frustrated every time a client was difficult with us or emotional with us, like you would be out of a job quick.
Yeah.
And then when it
And
comes to podcasting,
yeah. I know.
God, the whole thing is so much harder than I thought it would be. It is not just talking into a microphone. It's just not. I wish it was, but it's not at all. I genuinely took about 7 hours the other day, and I don't re-record my podcast. Like I sit down, I record it, I
Mhm.
edit it here and there, but like I don't do several takes. I do one take. I still spent about 7 hours recording and planning it and editing it and then taking the clips from there. And if you didn't love it, you wouldn't last long.
If you don't love podcasting, you forget about it. I think it's like, oh,
Yeah,
I needed to record. Yeah,
yeah,
you gotta fall in
yeah.
love with it. And how do you think you have to, for example, because the podcasting you're doing is has a lot to do with your passion as well, something that is fun to you and passion you're
Mhm.
passionate about. How do you think you have to accept the process? Because it's like, well, I love talking about it, but I don't know if I love the process of podcasting, which is the mic, the getting this
Yeah,
ready, the
yeah. The
yeah.
the absolute terror if you think that you recorded your mic wasn't working or the sound is bad.
Yes.
I mean, I could vomit just thinking about it. It was, yeah, it's torturous in that way. Um, I think it's a lot of perspective is necessary.
Mm, yeah.
So, for example, I was like bitching and I was like, oh, it took me 7 hours and then I have to upload all these clips and I have to do all these things. And I'm like, why? I think we're just a society who we like to bitch about our jobs and like even if
Yeah.
we love something, it's just we're comfortable bitching about it. So I had to have a talk with myself. I'm like, you choose to do this. This is your passion. Don't start looking at it with that perspective. You
Yeah.
get to do that. You get to spend 7 hours recording and editing. You
Mhm.
get to do something that you care about and you're talking about something that you're passionate about. You get to do these things. This is something that you've always wanted to do.
Mhm.
And is it as glamorous as you thought? No. But I'm so proud of it because when I walk away or I go to sleep at night, I know I gave it my all. And although it can get frustrating and I'm not the techiest person in the world, I'm proud of it for
Yeah.
sure.
And also the fact that you're going through the process and seeing this other side of you. Maybe you're not the
Mm-hmm.
techie person, but you're like, but I'm so
Hmm.
passionate that I'll do it. I'm so
Yeah, I'll learn
passionate.
it.
Exactly. It's like I'll push through, like I can do this. And I
Yeah.
think that usually when you anyone, by the way,
Hmm. Hmm.
who's not seen, when you're passionate about something and you're behind the scenes, the
Hmm.
behind the scenes, you want everyone
Yeah.
to see it because in reality,
Hmm.
that's what adds up to the product. So what
Hmm.
adds
Hmm.
to the product, it's like the fun part,
Yeah.
the tedious part, the part that you want
Hmm.
everyone to be like, I was sitting there for 7 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's why as a society we're so used to bitching.
Yeah.
We're used to, oh, I was working for like 10 hours, like
Yeah,
it's
like,
like it
oh,
wasn't even that heavy. I love it. I just had to say
yes.
it, you
I
know?
signed up to do this. This is my choice.
Exactly. To me, it's like I just have to say why I don't respond messages sometimes,
Yeah.
and then my friends
Yeah.
get mad, you know?
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
it's that point of being seen, like being
Yeah.
seen the behind the scenes that are so important. And I think
Hmm.
that's very symbolic to life as well. like you said about law and how everyone had their opinion, and now you're like, I did it. And does everyone know the story, the behind the scenes?
No, 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 no one.
Which
Not no one, but like few and far between.
which I was blessed to be part of, and
Yeah.
that's where I get the word resilience from. So
Mm.
much strength and so much. I know you call it delusion, but I call it optimism. You're very optimistic. You you
Yeah,
you
I
believe
think
in
it's
yourself.
I think it's also slightly delusional because I still like the word delusional because I've made it my reality. So I'm not like, oh, like I really believe in myself. Like I think I would be able to do this. I'm like, no, it's already happening.
Yeah,
I'm delusional about things so often that I don't even know if I can give like a really good example. But I'm
yeah,
like, oh no, like that's gonna happen. Like it's already happening to me. Like,
yeah.
yeah, done. It is what it is. Like,
I mean, you're a creator. You're a co-creator.
yeah, I'm really good at that. I'm shockingly good because it's not like a, oh, I really believe in myself and I know the universe will do something good for me and in my heart I think something it will happen for me. I'm like, no, it already happened. Like I don't even question it, and it makes life a lot
Yes.
easier. Like
But
I was
you
talking
know,
today about my visa.
tell
And
me.
someone was like, "Oh my God, if I was in your shoes, I'd be freaking out on how am I going to get it and when is it going to come?" And I was like, "Oh no, because I know I'm going to get it. Like, how am
Yeah,
I going to get? I don't know. I have zero clue, but I'm going to get it. Like, it's just zero question, which is why it's delusional."
but we do have to state something though. You
Mm.
action towards it. You don't just
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
I have it. You The moment you say you have it, you also start actioning towards it. You start
yes,
connecting to it. You start
yeah,
working towards it. You
yeah,
you plan. You are a co-creator. You're not
definitely.
just like, oh, I sit here and it comes to me. No, like when I say you have it behind the story, behind the
Yeah,
scenes, there's
yeah,
a story there, like points of what's gonna happen. But
yeah.
since you knew that this was yours, you found a way. You found like the tunnel that no one goes through in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Does that make
yeah.
sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's this co-creative side of you of being resilient and accepting the reality
Yeah,
without accepting anyone else's reality.
yeah.
Everyone can say, "Oh, I would have given up by then." You, it's like, I accept this truth, but I'm not gonna give up. There's a huge difference.
Mm, 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 mm. I also don't accept failure. And failure to everyone is different, right? So what's failure to me and failure to the next person on the street, two different things. But
Yeah.
to me, if I have a goal of I'm gonna have this and this is gonna happen for me, I'm gonna keep getting there, no matter what detours me along the way, no matter what people tell me. I am going to get there. And I might have setbacks, I might have difficult things happen to me. Like for example, I it's one of the things you might be alluding to when it comes to backstory. I did the bar course in the UK, which is very challenging and doesn't have a very high pass rate when it comes to the exams. And I passed the majority of my exams. Oh, and my visa was so the visa situation is very complicated here. But basically, I needed a certain visa and I had to pass my exams in order to be able to apply for a certain visa. And if I didn't pass my exams, that means my visa wouldn't be existed when I need to apply to the other one. Very complicated details. Anyways, so I find out that I did not pass one of my exams by a few points, and that meant that my visa would be up in like it was like a month or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is I was freaking out, like
Which
totally
is
freaking out.
key to this story. She is confident, but it doesn't mean you don't feel. You're confident, but
No,
it doesn't mean you don't go through emotions, feelings.
yeah, the
Yeah.
boat gets rocked. It's a beautiful. I live on a beautiful yacht, but there are waves that come and they rock me.
Yeah.
Okay, but it can be difficult. But yeah, so I freaked out, and then And I allowed myself to freak out, and I had a day of freaking out and crying and whatever. And then I went into solutions, and I went, I'm not going to accept this as my reality because I know what I want my reality to look like. So I need to make sure that there's no stone left unturned to coming up with a solution to this. And then I did, and I was able to figure it out. And I was able to retake my exam where my visa got extended. And then I got my other visa, and then I've been living here. God, that happened. That happened over a year ago. A year and a
We,
few months.
yeah, a year and a few months. It was May of last year.
June.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to
June.
think back. Yeah,
It was such a bad time.
I was on
Such a bad time.
911. Yeah,
But I said, I'm not moving back. I'm not moving back to the States. You guys think you're gonna make me move back? It's not gonna happen.
yeah.
So,
So you accepted your reality instead of anyone else's in that moment.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of
Mm-hmm.
resilience and a lot of, um, yeah. I'm gonna be stubborn, honey. I can't say delusional.
I know I love delusional. Let me keep the word.
I'll let you keep it, but I want everyone to know that's being a critic.
You do, yeah, you do not co-sign it.
I remember the tool to agree to disagree. Because
Yes.
I think I say that because to me, I see everyone's highest potential. It's like you're not
Mm.
delusional. I see it. So why
Yeah.
that makes sense? So in
Well,
my
no, I told someone, I forgot what person we were talking about, like Harry Styles or something. I was like, you know, if you meet me, you fall in love with me. Like that's just
yeah,
like how it's gonna happen. And people are like, that's delusional. I was like, well, that's who I am. So take it or leave it.
yeah, it's like this is me and this is how it works and
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
And
it.
don't you start connecting to those type of people in that moment? Like you start connecting to people, obviously there's all kinds of people, but you might
Yeah.
start meeting more people that are like that you see that
Yeah. Just good
are out.
looking people is what I want to connect to.
Exactly.
Good looking men who want me back. That's all I need.
Are we gonna start the juicy combo about men? Is that what's happening?
No. I mean, go for it if you want me to. I told you nothing's off the table, so we can.
So I ask everyone before we connect anything I should avoid talking about, and she was like, I'm an open book. Anything. Let's talk about
Good.
anything.
I'm
I love
reluctant, but I'm open.
so I'm gonna take advantage.
Go for it.
Honestly, I don't even know what I would ask about a man. I just think that as women, um, the healing process of connecting to men has a lot to do with not accepting ourselves. So I kind of want to go
Mm,
over that. How do you think you've accepted yourself to the point of that part that you call delusional? That you can have everything from the man you love.
yeah, well, I'm single, so I guess people are gonna have to stay tuned because I haven't necessarily gotten to the goal yet. I
But not
haven't
even the
necessarily
goal.
gotten there yet.
Not even the goal.
Same as the visa. I have the visa. Okay? I don't have the man. But stay tuned. Alexa knows when it's gonna happen. I don't.
I mean,
Um,
we're two single women here talking about it. I just want everyone to understand what it is to heal men. Not even to have the partner yet, but to understand that healing is more about loving yourself so deeply that you don't just go on dates just with anyone. You don't just
God,
put
I was a
yourself out
nightmare.
there and like we do know what we need. We do know what we're attracted to. We do know. And I think there's this very unhealed part of am I asking for too much? Am I not doing the right thing? Am I
Mhm,
that lack of
mhm.
acceptance? So, honey, I'm single too, obviously. But I do think that dating is a huge part of that healing process and how
Well,
to not necessarily be in a relationship to know what you want and need.
yeah. Well, I think, God, I mean, listen, you know firsthand, you've gotten the first row seats to my shit show. That is dating, and that is learning how to heal men
Yeah.
and my idea of them. It's been a long, long journey. I think I'm there
Oh, you are.
because but I mean, there's a few aspects to it, right? Like, there's a few different things you have to accept. And I think a lot of women will relate to this, where I have had relationships that could definitely be in the toxic category, especially when I was younger. And you, I think I have had a habit of bending myself and what I want or what I don't want for a guy that I'm with because I like him so much and I think he's like God's greatest gift to earth. So like if he does something I don't like I won't necessarily tell him. Or like
Mhm.
if he doesn't do this, that, like it takes me a lot to tell someone that I'm upset about something. Like I avoid it with a 10-foot pole. Like confrontation to me is the best thing when it comes to my personal life. When it comes to like romance and guys I'm dating, like my worst nightmare. So I've gotten better at it though. Now I'm good. Now I'm fine.
Really
But
good.
for a while I was like, I
We
don't
worked
want to.
on the tool of communication. That's what we worked on.
Yeah, I would literally throw up before I sent like an intense text. Genuinely, I'm not even being dramatic there. I would spend the morning throwing up. Um, because it's just very difficult for me, or it was very difficult for me.
And
Um, and then when you get out, there's once again, girls will know if you've ever been with a guy that you weren't yourself around or that he treated you not that great and you put up with it. Once you get out of it and you realize he's not God's greatest gift, you're like, oh God, I am never going to do that again. And then you get to really sit with it. And then if you really think about all the things that he did or the behavior that he had, and the ways that you didn't stick up for yourself and set those boundaries and you have a very honest conversation with yourself about it, it makes the next time a lot easier. And if the guy doesn't fit, the guy doesn't fit. There's, trust
yeah,
me, once again, working in family law, I'd rather not be married until I'm however age than get divorced 5 times by
yeah,
putting up with some guy shit who's gonna make you feel like ass. Like, no, thank you.
just to check a box in a way to be like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
doing it. I did it.
Oh yeah, I'm not single anymore. But now I deal
Yeah,
with a guy who's horrible. No, sounds horrible.
no, we need to keep our space very safe. I think a safe
Yeah.
space is very healthy. And the whole thing about how can I say it? Like once you kind of leave the bubble of the relationship of being with someone toxic. I mean, I've been with a toxic man as well. I can talk about this too.
Mm.
It's more about why was I trying to convince? That's how I see it. What was I trying to convince? Was I trying to convince?
Yeah.
Was I
For no reason.
even, it's that like you give your nurturing part to someone else instead of giving it to yourself. And
Hmm.
it's like convincing of I can nurture, I can be this or I can be that,
Hmm.
instead of seeing yourself as that. So it's very
Hmm.
valuable. Like whatever you're trying to give, that's the value. And if
Yeah.
they don't know how to receive, then just keep it to yourself and keep using it for you. Deuces. Yeah.
See ya. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we don't need to be doing this. And I bring this up because I think it's just as women, it's very important to mention the whole dating
Yeah.
thing.
I know. And I mean, we had a talk the other day because I have now almost gotten to the other extreme where I'm like, he's not perfect and he's not doing everything that I want him to be doing and like he
Yeah.
should know better and like he hasn't I don't like this is not behavior that I accept. And I'm like, okay, I'm also not a judge. Like
Yeah.
there are no rules. Alexis told me no rules. I'm like, okay, I have rules, but I'm trying to get rid of them. But yeah, I think it's just a feeling. If you know, you know. Like if you're feeling respected and you feel
Yeah.
like the guy has good intentions, you'll know.
And also compatibility. I think
Yeah.
that's a very important one, how compatible you are. I mean, in the past year, I've dated two guys, and both of the guys, yeah, I was compatible in certain things, but the other part was like, no, there's something missing.
Yeah.
This is not compatible. It wasn't even I don't like them or I don't like this. It was just not. truly connecting. So I think
Yeah.
it's the whole connection thing of just being open, opening up your heart
Hmm.
to, there is a connection. I can be me,
Yeah. Hmm.
you know? But I want to
Definitely.
get into your podcast because I
Yeah.
love how passionate you are. And
Thank
I want
you.
to know exactly how you use your tools within watching the shows. Okay, if you can
Oh,
explain what the podcast is about a little bit, tell us. I
yeah.
think many people are going to love this. Trust me, it's so fun.
Okay. So if you like reality TV, specifically Bravo, this podcast is for you. So it's called That's My Opinion Pod. And you can find it on Instagram, that's my opinion dot pod. And it's on Spotify. And I'm pretty sure it's on Apple Podcasts as well now. But I post it on my stories and stuff. So you can find it there. And there's a link in the bio. But so yeah, it's all the shows that are currently airing on Bravo. I will basically be going through the opinions on what housewives we're liking, who we're not liking, what conflict is sitting, what isn't, kind of what we're thinking. And it's different than a recap because I'm not just saying, oh, these two people got into a fight and then this happened and this is kind of what I think. Like it's very, very opinion driven. And it also is brings in everyone else's opinions. So it's not just going to be me telling you what my opinions are. Yes, I obviously will be doing that, but I also bring in other people's opinions. So people who follow the Instagram, people who I'm friends with, my mom, whatever, whoever watches a show and has an opinion, I want to hear it and I want to bring it onto the show. Because as I said earlier, I love playing devil's advocate. So even though I may love a certain housewife, and I will tell you that I love her, I will be able to engage with an opinion where people don't really like her, and I'll try to understand why, and we'll have that kind of conversation. Um, yeah, so yeah, it's been really fun, but it's also very difficult because I now have to watch about what like 7 hours of TV in a week, which is fine when you're not super busy. So like last week, I had events after dinner, after work. I had drinks, and then I had to go see a friend, and then I had to do different things that stopped me from being able to actually watch a show a day. And
Mm.
so that's when things get a little difficult. But once again, a really good problem to have.
It sounds like a fun problem, but I
Yeah.
understand what you mean. Like, at the end of
Hmm.
the day, you're not just watching, now you're analyzing at a different level because
Yeah,
there's a
I have to take notes.
responsibility behind it. But
Hmm.
and I do ask because when I was listening to your episode, I noticed how you're using the tools. Like you're literally like picking tools from them, like, oh, she did it this and I saw this, and I love how your opinion is very driven to how, like, not, how can I say it? Like how they're interacting with one another with those tools, but it's so opinionated and fun and just
Hmm.
it's a fun show
Thank
or
you.
fun
I appreciate it.
shows.
Yeah, yeah.
So I really wanted to talk about that. How do you feel that your point of view is different then? Because like you said, it's an opinion. How do
Hmm.
you even see it be different from like your moms and everyone watching?
I think I've had to put down my my desire to be right.
I love that.
So like for example, there's this housewife who some people hate, some people love.
Mhm.
I love her. Like she can do I'm like an apologist for her. Like she can literally hit me with her car and I'm like I'm it's fine. She's amazing. And a lot of people don't really like her. And I've had to bring those opinions on. I have to be like, well, I get, they don't like
Yeah.
her because this, or they don't like the way she handled it, or they think she's too this. And
Yeah.
that's fair. And that's the opinion. Because the reason that the idea of the podcast came out is because I had seen other podcasts on Bravo shows where
Mhm.
it's two people talking about their opinion and totally agreeing with each other. I'd be like, yeah, yeah, she sucks. She's a worst. She's a worst. Oh yeah, I think she's a worst. And I'm sitting there listening, being like screaming from my top of my lungs, like, no, but I love her. No, but she's amazing. No, but the show would be horrible without her. Like, where's my opinion?
Yeah.
I don't feel represented. So I have a duty to represent other people's opinions. So, although I may disagree with them, I will be bringing them up. And I
Yeah.
also have to remember that they can't fight because I mean, I'm going to have guests on soon, but as of right now, it's just a solo show.
Yeah.
And I can't have that disagreement with them in conversation. So I have to do a good job of truly representing it without fighting it too much or
Yeah.
disagreeing with it too much. So, yeah.
I mean, I think that one of your strengths is to have an opinion.
Yeah.
You've always had a very strong opinion, and it's a really good thing, and you're showing up with it as a strength.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
some of
So,
my friends, some of my friends listening will be like, bad. No, her opinions are annoying. They're horrible, and she's too
oh my
stuck
God.
in her ways. But I definitely listen. If you ever need an honest opinion, you know who your girl is, and it's me. And
Yeah.
if you don't want to hear it, then don't call me.
And I think that at the end of the day, they must always go back. Like your friends at the end of the day might always be like, fine, tell me. Or the really close ones, I think.
Yeah, maybe not all of them.
I don't
Not
know.
all
I
of them.
love it. I'm like, yeah, tell me. Fine.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you. I'll
Yeah,
tell you.
I love it. Now,
Hmm.
and I do want to mention also, it's a very bondy, a show that makes you bond. I shared it
Mm.
with my sister. My sister is
Mm.
15. Now we're starting to
Cute.
watch things together. And first, she was scared, by the way, because she was listening to the podcast and she was like, why is she talking about you? Because I guess one of the girls' name is Alexia. She was
Yeah,
like,
for real.
why hasn't my sister told me about all of this? What's going on? What is she's so confused, and now we're gonna start watching the show.
Mhm.
So I think you're also
Yeah.
bringing up that bonding time with people, like
Yeah.
opening up a dialogue that is so
Yeah.
fun. Like we're here to have
Yeah. No, it's been really great because I mean, there's a lot of intentions on starting the podcast, and one of them is representing people's opinions, but it's also one of my friends and I, her and I would voice note each other every single week. Just like 10 minutes worth of just voice noting back and forth on our thoughts on the show.
fun.
And we have different group chats of it. And I was like, I just want to make it like one big group chat where like we can all get together and talk. And it doesn't matter if you know each other, don't know each other, like you can talk about it. And I've reached out to a few of people that I know, whether I'm friends with them is a different story, but people that I know that I follow on Instagram that I see that they like these type of shows because they like the fan pages or they follow certain pages. And then I've now created these friendships with them because I
That's
didn't know that they loved it as much as I do. Now we just like can talk for hours about it.
that's amazing. So you're creating a community. That's
I
beautiful.
am. It's happening.
How does that feel?
It feels right.
Yeah, that's
It feels
amazing.
right.
That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And how do you feel that now you have a voice out there and
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're sharing your passion. So I want to know how it feels. Like right now it's like vulnerability to me. When I talk on the podcast, to me it's very vulnerable. And I don't
Yeah.
think vulnerability is heavy to me because I've had to be
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable from like
Mm-hmm.
clients to sessions I end up sharing because people kind of want examples. How do you think you're
Mm-hmm.
embracing this vulnerability of even having an opinion and kind of defending the person that no one likes, and
Yeah.
like how does it feel?
I'm a lot more nervous about it than I am with anything else. So I am trained as a barrister, which means in the UK it's the person that goes to court essentially.
Yeah.
So being trained in that meant that I would be up in front of a classroom of people I didn't really know, persuading a fake judge and talking about whatever case and making whatever points and defending whatever side I was on. I had zero nerves or very little nerves. Like a scale of 1 to 10, probably like a 2.53 when it comes to how nervous I was to do that. When I'm about to record my podcast, meanwhile, it's literally me and a microphone. Like I can re-record if I say something stupid or something I don't like. I am still so much more nervous. So much more nervous because I don't even know why. I don't think I can put my finger on it. I mean, I think it's because it's something that I care about. And
Yeah.
if you care about something, you know. It tends to bring up those emotions and those feelings. But yeah, I'm just accepting. I mean, yeah, it comes back to my tool. I just accept it. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be a little nervous, and then I'm just gonna record it, and then it's gonna be fine. Like, this is not life or death. I
Yeah,
know I might be like survival instincts are coming out. Fight or flight mode is being woken up, but it isn't life or death. So you just gotta get through it. It's kind of my
yeah.
attitude towards it.
I love that. Yeah, because usually when like you put your voice out there, what you love out there, it is nerve-wracking. It's like,
Yeah.
how do I even start? How do I push myself towards it? How do I, and obviously you have this confidence, but it doesn't mean you don't feel. Doesn't mean you don't
No.
go through the emotions and you, because you're really good at the tool of confidence, but I think it's not fighting with the nerves. They're a team. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, we're
Yeah,
confident. No one
definitely.
is nervous, and it's okay because we care.
Community.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also like kind of being grounded in it as well. Just being
Mhm.
like, it's okay. Like we're good. We're good. Everything's fine. You're just a little nervous. Just
Just a little,
get
yeah.
back into reality. Yeah. Put your 2 feet on the floor and go with it.
I love that. What advice would you give anyone who's starting something that they're passionate about?
Do it for the sake of your passion. So
Okay.
don't do it for a result. So
Oh, I
don't
love.
do it to be successful. Like don't have a podcast because you want to have the best podcast out there.
Yeah,
Have a podcast because you want to have a podcast. Because if you're only doing something based on results, then it's never going to feel good.
I love
So
that.
like I haven't even checked this week to see how many downloads I have and how many viewers I have because I'm still needing to kind of connect to the passion. And I know if I look and it's not a number that I wanted,
Mm,
I'll feel a little disappointed. Like I accept that that's my reality right now. So I haven't been avoiding it, but I just haven't engaged with it yet
yeah,
because I'm still working on remembering that this I'm doing this because I'm passionate about it, not because I want to be the star of the show. I mean that too, but mainly because I've always wanted to do this, not for the result of it. So that would be
definitely.
my main advice.
Yeah, like be very detached from the result, be very in the now. Um,
Hmm.
and like you said, not avoiding, just setting boundaries. As in, what can
Yeah,
I take in right now since I'm barely starting?
exactly.
Having these like high expectations when you know a process takes time and space.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, that's amazing. What tool do you think you're going to start working on now? Next
Compassion.
6 months.
I'm
Compassion.
kidding.
Let's
I'm
pick a
kidding.
new one. The next 6 months. You want to
Yeah, no,
connect?
I think it's probably patience. I have to learn how to be patient with myself because although I say, you shouldn't be doing this for a result, it is like, but I want to be perfect at it already. Like I want it, I want the editing process to go smoothly. Like I don't want to worry about my mic. I don't like right now I'm having mic issues today. Like that's frustrating. Like I want to be at the point where I'm not having mic issues. Like
Yeah.
so, or that the clips that I put on social media, are easier to make and it just kind of comes to me a little better. Or a little easier, I guess is the correct way to say that. Or I remember last week when I was recording, I didn't like the way that I ended the podcast. Like I didn't like how I ended it. And I was like, oh, I fucked up. And it's like, be patient with yourself. Like, you'll get there. It just you gotta be patient.
Getting there. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and because it's the learning process. It's like I
Yeah.
always say we have to understand we don't know things, we experience things. You
Mm-hmm.
add up to that knowledge and that wisdom, you activate
Mm-hmm.
the wisdom, but we don't know them before they happen.
No.
And we don't really learn from seeing others. We can, but since the feeling is missing, you might even go through it without noticing that it was the same thing.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So it's the process, which honestly it's the most beautiful part. Like the process is the one that you go back and you're like, "Oh, I remember when
Yeah.
that was going on."
Those fun times. They don't feel fond in the moment, but
No, but they make us who we are. So that's amazing.
Yeah, agreed.
Um, Now, since we're about to end,
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, what would you tell your little girl after all this resilience and acceptance and everything? I had to go romantic with you. Come on.
I would just say be nice to yourself because even though I'm resilient and accepting doesn't mean I have always been nice to myself throughout the process. So I've been like, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna keep going, and we're gonna don't listen to what other people say because you believe in yourself. It doesn't. It's with that tone, and it's not the nicest, most nurturing tone of all. Yeah, I would just say be nice to yourself and accepting in a nurturing way.
I love that. So the tool of self-acceptance and resilience has to be very connected to kindness. Because
Yeah,
when you're
yeah,
resilient, it means you're really good at tough love. It means like,
yeah.
come on, we got this, let's do this, let's keep going. And I've recognized it because I've been there. I've been in
Mm-hmm,
this spot where I'm like, nope, can't rest. No, I can't. Then I would get
mm-hmm,
sick and not
mm-hmm.
fun and
Yeah, yeah.
these patterns that I'm trying to not connect back to. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Kindness, being nice.
Kindness. Be nice.
Well, honey, thank you so much for being here today. This is very special.
Thank you for having me. I was very happy to do this. I'll be back as a guest soon. Maybe when I have a boyfriend, we can talk about that.
Definitely.
Watch
Hopefully,
this.
we both have one by then.
I mean, listen, from your mouth to God's ears.
I know, I know.
Just
We're
kidding. Just
working
kidding.
on it, you
We're more
guys.
than that. We're more than just having boyfriends. We're
Today I
just
heard Today I heard someone ask someone else, "Do you think you're a difficult girlfriend?" And I thought about it. I was like, "Is that my problem?
is
Is
that
it
my problem?
not even difficult girlfriend? It was, do you think it's difficult to date you?" And I thought about it, and honestly,
Mm.
I don't
It's
think it's
easy once you know how to do it. Once I teach, and I'll happy tell you, don't do this, don't do that, and then it'll be smooth sailing.
vacation smooth.
And then it's
Personally,
smooth sailing.
personally, I think I need to make more time for sure.
Oh, yeah, you, not
I,
me. I'm fine with time. You need to make more time.
I think that's what's difficult.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I can barely get a text back from you.
It was like, yeah, from me, I know. I know.
From you. No, I get texts back from other people. From you,
I'm
so
sorry. I
no,
barely
don't
told you about New
apologize.
York today.
I know. I've been asking you for a voice note for how many weeks now? Easily 2 weeks.
Probably since I got to New York, so a month.
Oh, yeah. Well, lucky for you, I was barely counting.
I know, but I have to be honest. But
Yeah.
I leave everyone with that question because I think that when you think about dating, and I'm being emphasizing on this because this is what people ask about the most.
Mm,
Not because of Vero, just because this week it was a topic for everyone
hmm
on my DMs and my emails. And um, when you're dating, you have to think about not just the person, but first make it personal. Make it very about, well, what is it to date myself? How do I sit down and eat with myself? How do I watch TV? When do I watch TV? When do I take myself out to eat? And you
hmm
start noticing time. You start noticing if you're always in a hurry. You start noticing if you're loving to yourself. You start noticing if you are just waiting for someone to give yourself that love. All those points are very important. So I have homework too. I need to make time, not just for a
Yeah.
man, but for my friends.
Yes, please. Please,
At least my
specifically
best
requested.
friend. So I heard that question and I just remembered. I didn't
Yeah.
remember that that was a thing. But thank you so much, honey, for
Thank you.
everything.
I appreciate it.
We'll be listening to your podcast. Can
Please
you tell
do.
us where we can find you, where we can find the podcast, how to connect to the podcast?
So I'm on Instagram, Vero Iglesias, Iglesias with two S's. And then the Instagram for the podcast is at that's my opinion pod. And then it might be harder to find on Spotify, but if it's literally just that's my opinion and it has like a blue it has a blue, how do you call it? Blue image?
Image,
Blue
yeah.
art? I don't know. The with
Artwork?
what it,
The artwork,
the
the
artwork, yeah. It's blue and it's called yeah, so it's that's my opinion pod. And you'll be able to find it on Spotify, hopefully Apple Podcasts. If not, it'll be on Apple Podcasts soon. Yeah, that's me.
amazing.
Oh, and you
Thank
can find me on TikTok too. I've been starting to upload on TikTok, which is
Vero
tough.
Iglesias too. Oh, don't get me started with TikTok. I'm really bad.
TikTok is tough, man. It's not for millennials, but I'm making it for me
I
because I
feel
am resilient.
I feel old when I go to TikTok. I honestly I feel old. I'm like I
Yeah,
am
no. I'm like, how do they make these things? But I've learned kind of. So yeah, on TikTok, I'm Vero Iglesias with two S's, six.
okay. Perfect. So everyone go follow this amazing woman that has so
Thank
much
you.
resilience and acceptance and
And
just has an sorry, honey?
and compassion.
Lots of compassion. Lots of compassion coming in from her. And just an amazing voice, honey. Listening to your podcast is very soothing. So I love
Thank
your
you.
voice. It's
I'm
like,
glad.
yeah,
Thank you.
I like her opinion, even though I don't know yet who she's talking about, but I agree with my best friend. That's how it is. I
Yeah.
I guess I'm picking teams now. So
Yeah.
listen, and thank you again, honey.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see you back here and just talk about new tools. And everyone, I hope you have an amazing week. Sending so much love and light. And we'll speak next week. Thank you.
See ya.